Hey everybody, Martyn at Flicking Feathers again today, and I'm tying a woven nymph, traditional Polish woven nymph. Very good fish catchers, probably easier to tie than a lot of people think as well. And the shuttle weave that we use for this, you can use it for any pattern really that you wish to have that colour separation from top to bottom. As always, I'll put a materials list in the description, along with a link to the Patreon page for anyone that wants to support the channel, get access to the members only content, monthly fly tying classes, and enter the giveaways. Alternatively, do like the video if you find it useful. Also, watching to the end all helps the channel to grow. So I've got my hook and my vise, and I'm tying a size 10 here. This is a TMCO 2457, it's a grub hook. You can tie these as big as a 6 probably, and down to a 12 or a 14 really. And I've got a 3mm bead, 3mm tungsten bead on this. And I've started some Danville's 140 denier in yellow. Now I'm not going to use lead. Some people like to use lead to help the taper and fix the bead, but I prefer just to be able to look at the beads in the box and know which flies are heavier than the others. The non-beaded flies are a different issue, but if it's a beaded fly, I don't want to have to try to remember, is it just a bead or is it a bead with lead? So I'm catching in some small gold wire on top of the shank, and I'm running back, and as I go I'm going to take it onto my side. I'm going to come down. I want my body to end sort of so that the thread makes a 45 towards the barb. Right, if I pull it tight. I'm going to tie in some embroidery yarn, super cheap, dead basic stuff, right? Just ordinary, any old ordinary embroidery yarn. This is yellow. It's a nice warm colour, and I'm going to come up. I'm going to be working on my taper the whole time, so I'm coming up in open turns to about halfway, and then I'm going to come forward, touching turns to the back of the bead, and then I'll gather that in, a couple of drops of thread, and I'll just pull back until it's fully in, and I'm going to travel back down the shank, get that secured, and I'm keeping it on my side of the shank, right? It's coming right off the side, it's not on top or underneath. And the same again, open turns, stop a wee bit further, and I'll come up. And this is why I'm using the 6.0 or the 140 denier. It's just quicker to build your taper. Now, this yarn is a wee bit thick, so I like to separate it out. Depending on the brand, you'll just need to check. This comes in it's 6 ply. For a 10 and a 12 I like 3. For a 14 down to 2. And 8's and 6. 8's 4 and then 6's 5 or the whole thing, sort of depending how chunky you want the fly. And I'm just doing the same thing. I'm taking the brown here, which will be my back colour, all the way down, and I'm just going to smooth everything out and work on my taper. Coming down and touching turns, and then I'll take an open turn back, come up, and that's probably enough build. Right, you can see there's a nice wee taper there. Got a whip finish. Trim that away. Now, some people like to turn the vise towards them, but I actually don't find that any easier. I think it's more difficult. I just like to run in the same direction as I always work. And basically what I'm going to do, I'm not going to have to change hands at any time, right? I don't really want to let go of this. I mean, sometimes you need to because you need to adjust, but as far as possible, just try and keep a hold of it. So the yellow's my belly colour, that's closest to you at the moment. Doesn't matter which side you start on, right? I could have the brown on your side just as easy. But I'm going to bring the belly over. Right, so this is coming inside the gap of the hook. I'm going to come under the hook with the brown, and I'm going to pull it up like this. Right? I'm going to bring the belly over, and then come under and round again. Belly over, under and round. Just adjust your knot, make sure it's sitting. Belly over, under and round. Make sure your brown's up. Belly over, under and round. 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 And just make sure, I can see there I've not quite got it where I want it, so I'll just go back a bit. There we go. And adjust the tension. Belly over, under and round. Belly over, under and round. And just repeat. Right? And what I like to do on these is sort of have the belly only on the underside and the dark colour sort of going around the top 2/3 of the shank. Right, I'm going to come right up to the bead. So I've got my wee yellow belly and my brown back. Now before I put any thread or anything on, just want a wee look. Sometimes you need to sort of spread or adjust stuff with your thumb, but that's quite good. The woven knots are pretty uniform all the way along, which is what you're looking for. And then never let go of this yarn until you've got your thread caught. Just got to catch my tying thread in this. For the front of the fly I'm using Uni 80 and it's fire orange. Just get that tied in, lock it off nice and securely, and then trim away your waist. Now you do waste some of this, but it's really cheap, and it's not that big a deal. You'd maybe get another fly out of that, but you'll start to know yourself just sort of how long you need to work, but always allow yourself a wee bit extra. So I'm going to just sort of go back and mark my thorax space, which is just about the same size as the bead. Then I'll come round, full wrap, and I'll just start my wire. And I like to sort of turn the vise at first, just to make sure that I'm going in between the wraps of the weave. Right, my wire's falling in between the wee nubs where the knot essentially is, and then where the weave is, I should say. I'll just tie that off at the front and then just helicopter it away. I'm just going to finish it with a wee bit of ice stub. I'm using pheasant tail here, but I mean, up to you, use whatever dubbing you like. Here's the ear, squirrel with a bit of flash, and a colour that suits you, that you think looks good for your fishing. And then I'll just take a few turns of thread. I don't mind the dubbing, sort of allows the orange to shine through a wee bit, which I quite like. 2 whip finishes. Because these are bouncing about the bottom. Oops. And then a bit of varnish and the fly's done. So there you go. That's Polish style woven nymph. Probably took me about 8 minutes to tie it while describing how to tie it. Right, they're pretty quick once you get into it, and they're really effective. Not just for trout and grayling, barbel eat them, carp eat them. They're worth having in your box, certainly. So I hope that was useful. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please remember to give me a thumbs up below, and I'll see you for another video. Till then, guys, bye.